Good evening and welcome to Credit Talk. My name is Todd Stern, and for the next half hour I will be discussing credit matters, credit reports, how to fix your credit. This is a live call-in show, and as you can see the number below, 312-738-1060 is our live studio number. Please give us a call right now because our phone lines do fill up. The number behind me is at our help center at 773-862-4000. If you can't get on, please call there or leave a voice message if you don't want to discuss your situation on the air. So let's talk about Credit Talk. What is Credit Talk? Credit Talk was set up to help you, the consumer, get a better understanding of your credit reports, what to do if you have negative information on your credit reports, and point you in the right direction of obtaining new credit, such as credit cards, purchasing a home, refinancing a car, buying a car, whatever it might do. This world today revolves on credit. If you have good credit, it's so easy to do everything. If you have bad credit, you just get shut down everywhere. Insurance rates are higher. Getting a cell phone can be difficult. So you don't want to have negative information. What can you do about it? Well, first of all, as I suggest to everybody, at least once to twice a year, look at your credit report. There's a lot of services now, free services, that you can get your report and they will indicate if there's a problem. I highly recommend that as well. When we first started the center around 15 years ago, there was no internet, or it was just basically getting started, but there's not as many companies as there are today where you can get this free information. Or sign up for a paid service and monitor your credit. It's really something that I highly suggest. Well, I know many of you have saw our Twitter account and our tweets through CAN TV Chicago, and we were going to have special guest Brian Jensen from Guaranteed Rate on tonight, but unfortunately there was an incident on the highway, it looks like, and that has delayed Brian. So he might come on the show, don't know if he can make it through the traffic, and that's Chicago for you, as you know. But I do have a bunch of questions that were emailed to us ahead of time for Brian, and being in this industry for long enough, I could probably answer most of them. So let's give it a shot. First question from Scott in Chicago was, what type of mortgages are available? Well, there's several different mortgages. There's FHA, there's a conventional, there's jumbo. Well, what are the difference? FHA, which is the very popular mortgage now, where you only have to come up with 3 to 4% down. So that's very attractive to first-time buyers. Now, the rates are going to be a little bit higher, and you're probably going to have to get mortgage insurance that comes with it, and I think there's even an FHA fee as well. So it is going to be a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to come up with 20%. So on a $200,000 purchase, you're going to come up with anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 down, which is very affordable. So start saving. Conventional mortgage is a mortgage that's usually under, and I'm not 100% on the limit, but I think it's somewhere around $430,000. So anything below that. And usually you're going to have to put 20% down and have good credit. A jumbo loan is everything above that, and they're going to want to see your credit score in the 700s. So for people that are getting mortgages, which we've seen $1 million plus, you have to have a 720, 740 credit score to get those type of loans, and the rates are a little bit higher on those versus a conventional loan. And what I've been told by some of the mortgage brokers that we talk to, that rates are actually going up. So you should check with your local mortgage banker or give us a call at the help center, and we can point you towards somebody that can, look at the rate you have, see what you're at, and possibly refinance. I always suggest refinance as much as possible, because if you can lower your rate a quarter point or so, and if it lowers your payment $50, $75, why not? The next question comes from Doris in Bartlett, Illinois. She says, does a first-time borrower have to put down a lot of money to purchase a home? Well, as I was just mentioning, FHA mortgage. That's the way to go. 3 to 4% down. You're going to be able to get your mortgage. As long as you have good credit, that helps. And actually, your credit score doesn't have to be as high. 630, 640, and you can get an FHA loan. There's certain things they don't want to see on the credit report, but again, you'd have to consult your local bank or mortgage banker for more details on it. But yes, there is ways of doing it with a lower percentage down. I got an email from Joseph in Chicago as well. Somebody had a foreclosure 2 years ago. Can they purchase a new home? Well, some programs will allow it. I think most of them are 3 years. So again, if you have had a bank foreclosure, first thing is check your credit report, see when they reported it, and then talk to a mortgage broker about getting into a program. Or if you're not quite at that deadline yet, talk to the mortgage banker and start getting your ducks in a row. If he says, okay, you're going to need to have X amount of money in the bank, start saving the money so you can have it and you'll be ready to make your down payment when time comes. So that is very important. Another question from Susie in Arlington Heights, actually. What type of credit score does a bank require for a home loan? Well, again, FHA, 630, 640. Conventional, somewhere around 700. But the better your score is, the easier the mortgage process will be and the better rate you will get. So again, let's work on those credit scores. Obviously, keep your balances below 30% of the credit limit. We talk about that all the time. If your credit limit's $5,000, anything over $1,500 will lower your credit score. Make sure there are no unpaid, collections on your report. Doctor bills, that's what we see so much at the help center. People have there's insurance pays some, but there is a deductible. You're going to receive a bill. You got to pay it. Because if you don't, they will send it to a collection agency. Basically guaranteed. That's what we see the most. Parking tickets in the suburbs, for sure, we see it all the time. So make sure that you pay all your parking tickets and hospital bills. Okay, let's go to our first caller. Hello, caller.
Hi, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Oh, good. I have a question for the mortgage broker.
Well, unfortunately, the mortgage broker got stuck in traffic, but I am answering questions because I am pretty knowledgeable about mortgages. So give me a shot. Let me see if I can answer your question.
Okay, if I'm a first-time home buyer and I'm no spring chicken, what is there advantages to being a first-time home buyer even if you're, in your later years? And what kind of fees should people be careful of? If they already have good FICO scores, what kind of things should they be careful of on fees?
Well, first of all, age doesn't matter. The Fair Housing Act and with mortgage, you could be 80 years old and you're still allowed to get the same exact mortgage as a 22-year-old. So age does not dictate rate. So
Okay.
nor does race, religion, whatever. It doesn't. That's not going to be a problem. As far as you want to know how much you have to put down, was that one of your questions, or?
Well, no, I'm just wondering, sometimes you got to be careful of what kind of fees they charge
Sure.
and whatever.
So yeah, as far as fees, if you have good credit, there's companies out there that, yes, you got to be careful. You don't want to pay points. A point will be usually 1 to 2% of what the mortgage is. So if it's $100,000, they'll say, oh, we're charging you a point. It's $1,000. Well, why should you pay a point? You have good credit. They're not the only mortgage broker on the block or bank. So a lot of that is negotiable. They have to give you a truth in lending statement to begin with, which shows you the fees. And if you see some fees, question them. Too many people don't ask the questions about what are these fees. Definitely ask. And if your credit is good enough and the mortgage amount is high enough, a lot of times you can get them to waive the fees, because what happens is a mortgage broker is paid a commission. And if you say, listen, this loan is big enough, I want you to absorb some of these fees. And a lot of times they will. All you have to do is ask. Or some people that have private banking relationships at like Chase or Bank of America, whatever it is, same thing. You see them advertise, the rates and the closing costs and the points. That's ridiculous. Again, if you have good credit and the loan is enough, and you ask for them to eat some of those costs.
Okay, and then also, do you think that you would recommend a bank versus a mortgage broker as far as, getting a mortgage? Do you have a preference?
Well, I personally prefer a mortgage broker. A mortgage broker is somebody that is with a company, not a bank, but they represent and they resell basically not all the banks, but whoever they have relationships with. It might be Citibank, Chase, Bank of America. Now, a lot of times they're going to get a better rate for you versus you walking into Bank of America and getting a rate, because the companies that the big mortgage companies who might do 1,000 loans a year with Bank of America have it's quantity, so they're going to get a better rate than you probably walking off the street. But it all depends on the relationship. Now I hear sometimes on the jumbo loans, everything over 430,000. And by the way, every state varies. A jumbo loan in California is anything over 700,000. So just state by state, you have to check that. But again, I prefer the mortgage brokers because they have several sources. And depending if you do have some hiccups on your credit report, some banks will take with it and some will take without it. So yes, start with a mortgage broker.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, I heard you guys are the best in the industry.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your call. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to call us at the Help Center, 773-862-4000. If you want to call now, leave a voicemail, but we really, really appreciate your call, and thank you for watching.
Okay, thank you for answering my question.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
So, yes, again, our guest was not able to show up tonight. So let's go through some more of these email questions, because we put it out on our site, and we get flooded with emails and calls. Again, I'm going to do my best to answer these. But Jim from Chicago as well, he wants to buy investment properties. How does he go about that? Well, there's different things. Now, if it's an investment property and you're not going to live in it, that's a whole other animal. You're not going to be able to get FHA. It's going to be 20% down, 20 to 30% down, and there's a lot of things that they look into. Let's go to this call right now, and then we'll get back to these questions. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Excellent.
I just had a quick question. I just got out of college, and I have a pretty solid, good, high-paying job, but I really, really want to buy a condo in Chicago. The one I'm looking at is $420,000.
Okay.
And my credit score is actually pretty good. It's a 790. But
Awesome.
Do you have any idea how much I have to put down on something like that?
So again, as I mentioned, our mortgage broker couldn't make it in, but that's good. So if you have a 790, a lot of condo buildings, if they're FHA approved, you're going to be able to go and say, well, if it's a $400,000 unit, you could probably get in there with $12,000 to $15,000 down, which is very, very affordable. Now, if you want to do a conventional loan with 20% down to get a better rate, that would be 20% of $400,000. So it all depends on what your cash flow is and how long are you going to stay at. Okay, so you told me you just got out of college. This is probably not going to be your home for the rest of your life. So in your sense, maybe an FHA mortgage would be better because you're going to put little amount down, 3 to 4%, and also take your money and save it, invest it, an IRA, a 401k through your work if you have one. But yeah, I would say, you can get in there for $12,000 to $15,000.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for calling.
Sure.
Excellent question. So, look at this. She has a 790 credit score. That is just fantastic. So she probably watches our show and follows my rules and what I preach about credit balances. Don't open too many accounts at the same time. And just monitor your credit. Keep those balances down. Don't run them up, because if they run up too high, you're not going to be able to get a good credit score. So she's doing an excellent job, and thank you for the call. Here's one from Jim in Chicago. He is a potential home buyer, has negative information on their credit report. Can he still buy a home? Well, Yes and no. It depends what the negative information is, and it depends what your credit score is. We always recommend, using a credit repair company. There's a lot of them in the city. Always, Google Credit Repair Chicago. Look at the reviews. See what they have to say, and go from there. All right, let's go to our next call. Hello, caller.
Hi. I have a question. My daughter is 16, and it would make things a little easier if she had some type of credit card so that she could pay for some of her expenses and things like that. At what age do you recommend a young person to get a credit card? And do you think that a debit card is better than a credit card? And if it's in their name, will this credit affect her for the rest of her life if she, fails to pay on time or that kind of thing?
That's an excellent question. So 16 is actually a very, very good age to start. And, back when I was a kid, we didn't have credit cards. Well, there were credit cards, but kids didn't have them, not like today, or debit cards. There was no such thing as a debit card. A lot of banks actually have programs now for young people. And I don't know, I think they start at 13, where they they teach young people how to use credit. I would suggest a debit card, because most likely she's not going to be able to get a credit card unless she is on your account and as an authorized user. But a debit card...
I've actually gotten some letters in the mail soliciting a credit card, so I don't know if that's, I'm afraid to open credit cards in her name.
No, I would not. Not at this age. I would not open any credit cards, because, again, the problem is if she doesn't pay them, kids just don't understand the fallout. If she does, she might get it and go buy something, and one of two things: you're going to get stuck with the bill, or she's going to say she doesn't know and doesn't make the payments, and it's going to be your responsibility. I like the debit card because that's going to teach them to begin with, and especially if they have a job, they're going to have a savings account or checking account, and that debit card will be linked to that account. So if they have $200 in there, they're only going to be able to...
If she doesn't pay the card, then it's going to be my responsibility. Will that show up on my credit report, or will that show up on her credit report?
Well, if she's an authorized user, at the end of the day, it's your responsibility, because you're the main holder on that credit card. So yes, it will affect your credit report. It will show up if she has a credit report. I mean, she will. It will show up on her report, but it's going to show up also as an authorized user, which if she's trying to build credit and build a credit score, unfortunately, authorized users do not help credit scores. They used to, but they took that out of the equation several years ago, because it used to be so easy to bump somebody's score by just adding them on your credit. And I'm sorry, one other thing, she is getting solicitations, but if you read the fine print, it's based on credit, income. So a lot of times we have people at the help center that call us, same thing, that have credit issues. Say, I got this credit card application, but I've seen their credit report. I'm like, there's no way you're going to get approved. And that is because they didn't read the fine print. But I would suggest, the big banks here in Chicago, they have programs, and you've got to watch and monitor and teach them. Teach them actually how to write checks. I bet you, when I go out and about and I see these young kids, nobody uses cash. Nobody writes checks. So I think it's still a good idea to teach your children how to do it, how to use a register, and even reconcile a checking account. That would be, it's an excellent lesson to learn and get a job.
Right. Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate your help. You have a great show.
No problem. Thank you so much for the call. Have a great night.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. So that was the first time call we've had like that about children. I've never really touched that subject, and it really is good because I have young children as well. And actually, when I was in Chase Bank once, I was talking to them, and I think she told me they have to be at least 13, but they can be on your account right now and get a debit card with their name on it. So that is something that everybody should look into. But again, you got to teach your children how to use it properly. And I'm not 100% sure with the debit cards what the program is, but you got to talk to the bank. Now, you got to make sure that if they have $50 in there and they buy something for $55, sometimes these banks will let the charge go through. But, and I know on regular debit cards they do, and then you get hit with some crazy fee, $29, $30 fee for being over the limit. So you don't want to do that. So it's very, very important. Again, the old days when I used to write checks as a kid, I was good because my father was an accountant. So I would always do that register. And every month I was so excited to do the reconciliation because on the back of the checking account statement that got mailed to you, they used to actually mail the checks with it. You would do the reconciliation and make sure that you balance, because just because what it says you have in your account on the internet or the phone doesn't take into consideration outstanding checks. So you want to, teach your children the right way to do that, and, teach them about credit. Make sure that they pay attention. It's serious business. Another thing I don't like is when you go up to these college campuses, these companies will have, get a free t-shirt, fill out an application. We see so many people at the help center with these situations where they've got issues on their credit reports because when they were in college, they went to the bar, threw down the credit card. Next thing you know, they got a $100 bill, $200 bill, and they have no money, and they don't pay the bill. So that's nothing but trouble for students. So I tell people to be very careful, and I don't like just the credit cards doing this because they're giving away free t-shirts. So teach your children, very, very important. Question, another one. Scott Cogan in Aurora sent us this. Can one of my parents help me out with a down payment? Absolutely. That would be a gift. And again, you would consult your mortgage broker. I think they have to give you a letter stating that that money was from them. A lot of times they want to see where the money came from, so you're going to have to possibly even show a statement from your parents' checking account, and you have to show a statement on your checking account where it went into. Plus, money has to be seasoned as well. It's not the parents' money, but I get a lot of people that say, well, I got $30,000 in cash. I'm going to throw it in my checking account. Well, there's all kinds of issues there. Where's this cash from, number one? Is this money that was paid in cash and you did not report it to the IRS? That can be an issue. Plus, banks, if you deposit, and I think it's over $10,000 in cash, you're going to have to fill out a form. And mortgage companies want to see seasoned money. So the money has to be there for, I think 3 months minimum before you can even use those accounts. So again, talk to your local mortgage broker or give us a call at the center, and we'll be more than happy to point you in the right direction. So let's just talk about, we got about a minute left here, and let's just talk about credit scores again. And here is an excellent guide to look at. So, as you can see, credit scores, they say start at 300. Never seen it. I've seen low 500s. So 580 to 640 is not the greatest, but as you can see, 640, which we just talked about with FHA mortgages, is definitely a little bit better. It's going to get you into that range. 700, definitely good, but 740 and above, and like this score here, 784, excellent. So credit scores are so important. You want to make sure that you check your scores, and again, there's a bunch of free services, but be careful because a lot of times those free services are going to be a higher score, and we get these calls at the help center all the time. Well, this credit, blah, 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 said my score was 760. The mortgage broker pulled it, and I was 700. Well, there's so many different scoring models, and unfortunately, we do not have time to get into that tonight, but just be careful. There's different scoring ones that you get on these credit cards, the free services, and what the mortgage broker pulls. So I do want to thank everybody for watching our show tonight. It was a great show. We'll have Brian on another time, and he will answer all your questions. Until then, have a great night, and we will see you next week. Thank you for watching.